Notice up until now, within our sketching tools, we've only been using the very first tool, the pen tool. But as we can see below, we have a number of primitives, and these are used to help create commonly used shapes even faster and more efficiently. So for example, if I was to draw a rectangle, of course I can do this with just my regular pen tool, and it's actually quite easy. I would just draw one vertical line, then a horizontal, a vertical, and a horizontal. And now I have a closed out rectangle. And of course that was actually a pretty easy process. However, the rectangle primitive makes this process even easier. The icon itself shows that this rectangle can be created by simply tapping our first endpoint and then our last endpoint. There you go. Now with just a single tap, I've created a rectangle. Notice there's a few commonly used ways to create rectangles. So if I just tap on the rectangle primitive in the arrow there, I can see I have diagonal, which would be one endpoint to another endpoint. I have center rectangle, which would be the center of my rectangle to the endpoint, and 3-point rectangle. So here you can see just on the icon itself, the blue dots are indicating my touch points to create that primitive. So just an example, I can switch to center rectangle and create a center rectangle in a very similar way. In just the same way, I can sketch out a circle. Again, note the icon. The blue points are indicating where my touch points would be. So my first tap would be the center of the circle, and then I'm extending that out to the outer edge of my circle. I can also create an ellipse. And from my ellipse, I have a couple of dimensions I can change. So my larger radius value, let's say 100, smaller radius value, let's say 50. And I can also use this endpoint here to rotate my ellipse. Finally, I have the polygon primitive, and I have a number of different polygon types available to me. Triangle, pentagon, hexagon, octagon, and so on. And the polygon especially is really quite useful, as drawing out a rectangle or a circle manually with the pen tool is really not too difficult, so it saves a little bit of time. But something more complex like a hexagon, to sketch that out manually might take quite a bit more time. So it's going to be a real time saver. So if I just go to hexagon there, and now I can very easily create a hexagon, change the angle, change the size, and so on. What's nice about this, I also have the ability to, of course, change the size with a dimension here, but I can also change how many sides. So I can really create a whole number of different types of polygons here. Let's say I'd like it to have 12 sides here. Tap the green check. Now I have a fairly complex polygon here. So just sketching this out manually by the pen tool would take maybe quite a bit more time. So it's a real good time saver here. Now that we've taken a look at how to use our primitives, in the next lesson we're going to try to put all of this information together and create our first complete sketch.